about vulnerability in leadership. Hitler, Stalin, Pol Pot, de Wager, and Mary I of England. Do you know what they have in common? Leaders, right. Traveling back into space and time, they were the ruler of a nation, worshipped and empowered by their followers. They were defined as the leader, who is thought to possess the ultimate power to control other beings. But things can go wrong when a person owns too much power. And that is when the line between a leader and a tyrant becomes vague. Unfortunately, the world has recognized this way of ruling in the past centuries. And unfortunately, it's always the tragedy that lands on the innocent civilians. Famines, riots, executions, Holocaust, genocides, wars, and more killings. Could you please raise your hand if you have ever watched any of these films? Dunkirk, The Pianist, right, a lot of people. So do you ever recall to see the unyielded soldier being shot in the street? Or do you ever recall to see the families that were separated and the children's crying? This film only showed us a euphemistic version of the chaos. And look at the girl in the right. She's innocent, and yet she has to go through all of this. And not to mention World War. If the world wants change, we have to examine the way we lead. When the lands are burning, millions are perishing. When the countries are destroying, and when the world is on the edge, perhaps it's time to examine the way we lead and through a new perspective. First, we have to eliminate gender prejudice. Women can lead too. 2020, the President of Taiwan, the Prime Minister of Iceland, Denmark, and New Zealand reacted immediately to COVID-19 and kept the country safe. According to a study published by the Harvard University, male leaders' performance was rated at 51. Meanwhile, female leaders' performance was rated at 57. Women show their vulnerability and concerns for other people. And by doing that, they dispel the myth that compassion and humanity is a shortcoming for a leader. And furthermore, this is the statistics, but they also lead through a democratic system, which emphasizes on each individual's words. By doing that, they created equality, because simply taking a decision, simply taking action on individuals' decision is not lack of faith in one's desire, but rather it's using equality to strengthen the nation. And equality, it can only be achieved when opportunities are given. Unfortunately, I grew up in an international environment where everything was possible. So in 2018, when I was 13, after being in the student council for only a year, I was nominated to elect for the president. Of course, I was scared. I know nothing, never have I seen such a young and new person doing such a thing. And it turned out to be that I was afraid of this connection. I didn't want to be different, nor did I want to show it. It's like people who have pineapples on their pizza. I'm sorry, but they're beautiful beings, of course. But this is what I believe in before I heard something. Unfortunately, I heard a conversation that I'm not supposed to hear. One of the delegates asked the supervisor, why is she doing the election? You gotta admit, she's young, she's inexperienced, and yeah. But then it's almost like he's interrogating her and accusing me. but she's a girl. At that moment, I hated myself for not being able to stand up for myself. I hated myself for being a girl, and I hated myself for being different. It's vulnerability. I was vulnerable, and he turned it all against me. I couldn't regret it more when I was trying to hide my vulnerability. And the result was I was pronounced second place. At such a young age, you learn to try to hide everything, like hiding your snacks under your bed when you were a toddler, or hiding your pocket money when you were a teenager. I was no different. I tried to hide the fact that I am shattered inside and broken outside. But apparently, I was not very good at it. It all broke down when a wise man called Mr. Bahilo saw me. He's a fairy godfather. It's a male version of a fairy godmother. And he has his little wand and ting, everything is fixed. And he taught me to face my own vulnerability. And it goes something like this. You, stop saying how you're not good enough, how you're not smart enough, you're not honest enough, or how you're not promoted enough. But start appreciating how you try enough. Vulnerability is universal. And it's something that makes us special as well. So don't try to hide away your vulnerability because it's what shaped us. It's a part of our emotion, and you can't just selectively numb it. And you can't just go, here's the bad stuff, here's grief, here's sadness, here's anger, here's disappointment, here's shame. I don't want to feel any of those, so I'm going to have a chocolate cupcake and I'll feel better. That's not how it works. Instead, you have to stand up for where you fall, whether if it's walking or crawling. So I did. A year later, I participated in the election again. But this time, I said, the younger you are, the less busy you are. So I have more time that I can dedicate into the student council. Then I said, the less experienced I am, the less possible that I am attached to the old system. So I can always be novel and creative and innovative, or in this case, you can call it crazy. Or finally, I said, we are an inclusive learning community, so we should accept diversity. And with all these changes, I was pronounced the new president of the student council. It's vulnerability that made me who I am. So we shouldn't change it. But this is not the end of the story. These words of wisdom helped me in my successive tenure as the president, even until now. I realized that people tend to gravitate more and relate it more to those who are similar with them. So simply admitting to a mistake and say, I am a human, means that you've embraced your imperfectness and means that you've accepted who you are. To break the traditional definition of a leader, a new definition can be a leader is someone who embraces their vulnerability and that turns their vulnerability into strength. Because this happened to be the birthplace of joy, of happiness, of diversity, of personal excellence, and of love. It is what made us special. So I challenge all of you to stop introducing yourself following the protocol of, hi, my name is Bill Gates, and I'm the richest man in the world. But start saying that, hi, I'm Bill Gates, and Microsoft lost $400 billion due to my mismanagement, because I'm a human after all. But seriously, I encourage you all to take on a leadership role, whether if it's in your school, in your house, in your workplaces, in your classrooms, and more. Because being a leader is not being intimidated or intimidating, but rather it's being vulnerable. Because after all, I am a human. You are a human. And all of us in this room are human. At least I thought so. And leaders should be humans too. Thank you.